You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenoff, coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We do have a busy show coming up for you today. Civic Media News Director Shally Pittman joining us after the 9:30 news. Of course, Governor Evers announcing last week he will not seek a third term. We have two names. One is in, another one is expected to jump in, but there's some other people in the background yet that we are expecting to make announcements. So Shally will be talking about that along with many other things related to state politics in Wisconsin. Hour number 2. He is the new chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Devin Remaker is going to join us. Looking forward to this. Yeah. Haven't had a chance to talk to him yet since he slid into the spot that was held by Ben Wickler very successfully for a long time. So we will talk to Devin Remaker and find out what his vision is going forward. We have some important elections coming up.
Just a few.
Just several hundred. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. At 10:30... Friday's audio sorbet was about losing your car in a parking lot or a parking ramp.
And you thought you were the only one.
I was really relieved to know I was not the only one. And then we had an email that came in just after the show.
Yeah.
It's kind of an addendum to the earlier audio sorbet. So we're going to do an update with that. And again, I know there are more stories out there about people who have lost their cars.
Yes, just like Wisconsin, Jane, you're among friends.
I'm among friends, exactly. So if you would like to share your story about losing your vehicle, parking ramp, parking garage, maybe just on your block, I don't know, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. I left it somewhere.
I left it somewhere.
Was here a moment ago.
My car was right there. And you're like, nope, it's parked over there.
So that's coming up after 10:35, and then we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it's the extra padding edition. It's a good one. Stick around for that. I wanted to congratulate. I saw this on the text line over the weekend because I check the text line over the weekend because I'm nosy.
Yeah. You want to know what's going on. You want to know the haps.
The haps. What are the haps?
What's the skinny?
Shout out to Jim from Brookfield.
Yeah.
Jim and his wife picked up those tickets for Wednesday's game as part of Free Ticket Friday. Yep. So Jim from Brookfield and his wife got those tickets. Brewers club level seat tickets for Wednesday's game. When the Brewers host the Cubbies, should be a really good game.
Jim, if you're going, I'm sure you're going with friends, take a picture, take some pictures, and text them to us via the Civic Media app. That's the great thing about the app is you can call us, text us, leave a voice note, and you can send us those pictures if you with your seats and the fun you're having because we'd love to know. And if you are a Brewers fan right now, this is going to be an anxiety-ridden series because the Brewers didn't do so hot this weekend.
Right.
And they lost their lead in first place, so it's like neck and neck. And it's neck and neck between first and second place of the Central Division, so it's going to be crazy. And when the Cubs fans are in town, it's always an extra layer of awesome.
Yeah. I'm taking a different approach to this. I think the Brewers intentionally held back over the weekend because they're saving up their good stuff for this series against the Cubs. That's what I am choosing to look at this.
Your conspiracy theories are weird.
And we're going to get to conspiracy theories, too, a little bit later on. But I wanted to start off with this, and this is from WPR. Greg and I were talking about this off the air. From Corinne Hess has the byline, UW Extension's FoodWise Nutrition Education Program shutting down after federal funds eliminated. More than 90 people now losing their jobs with the 30-year-old program. We were told that there were not going to be any nutritional cuts. There would be no cuts to SNAP, no cuts to all of these things. Well, this is kind of this educational thing is part of all of those.
It's referred to as SNAP Ed.
Yeah. Right. The National Education and Obesity Prevention Grant Program, their funding ends at the end of September. For more than 3 decades, this program called FoodWise has been providing people with nutrition education, community-based strategies to support healthy eating. Because we've talked about this a lot. it's much easier to do things in advance to protect your health rather than wait until you get sick.
Absolutely. Proactive is always better.
Yes.
It's always better.
Proactive is better than reactive.
Yes.
So this program has been reaching over 133,000 people. It's been a big help across the state, and it is tied into other programs like Food Right, Hunger Task Force, which is a huge program here in southeastern Wisconsin, and I've talked to them numerous times over the decades. The need for assistance isn't going down.
No.
It's not.
No. The need isn't going down. 1 in 7 people struggle with finding the right nutrition. Many of those people, and those are children
and elderly
people, and it is baffling to me that this program would be cut. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It's baffling to me that the funding to this program would be cut. These are jobs. This is a good service. This has to do with SNAP. And I mean, what it makes me think of immediately, and I can't think of the exact name and the acronym, is the program which paid farmers to grow food and then take that food to local food banks. That funding was also cut. I don't understand how this makes any sense. This does nothing but good for the people. It helps people, and they said, nah.
Yeah, we don't have the money for that. Food Right educates more than 1,200 MPS students on how to cook and appreciate affordable, whole food, plant-based meals. There's a lot of just basic nutritional stuff that a lot of us don't have.
Yes.
And could use a little education about.
Yeah. I have access to food. I have the ability to go to the grocery store right now. I could use this program.
Right.
You know, this is not just about, honestly, these programs aren't just about helping those who suffer with food insecurity or getting nutritious meals. It's an educational program that can help us all as far as making the best meals possible to stay healthy. So, this is another thing that's the victim of the big bill for billionaires, and exactly so, because in a statement released by Tammy Baldwin, Gwen Moore, Mark Pocan, and Tony Evers, they said, sadly, we are watching vital resources that Wisconsin families rely on to stay healthy and help put food on their table being stripped away. Also, Republicans in Congress and President Trump can give out tax breaks to the wealthy. And that's what it is.
Pretty much.
Never forget that, too. There is no version of cutting this program or the farming program or anything else that deals with nutrition or helping people find food that is, those cuts can't be spun as patriotic, helping America, making America great again. No, none of those things. It's because they have to find the money they so desperately need, because Doge didn't do the job.
Yeah.
They need to find the money, and so they're just going to cut everything. And they're going to cut it from the people who have the least amount of power and the least amount of voice.
Absolutely. And the ones who need it the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, I know you're not wrong.
Derek Van Orden.
Yes.
Who sits on the Agriculture Committee.
Correct. The congressman of the 3rd District.
Yeah. He took great issue when this came up months ago.
Yeah.
That these cuts were going to be affecting the SNAP program and associated programs. And as he always does, Derek Van Orden remained calm.
Yep.
Completely composed. Professional. When this came up, I believe there is a clip, Calvin.
Yes.
From Derek Van Orden talking about cuts to SNAP. Can we play that well-composed clip from Mr. Van Orden, please? No problem. We're talking about an article in WPR this morning about UW Extension's FoodWise Nutrition Education Program is being cut. And this affects Hunger Task Force, a whole bunch of other programs that are tied into this. All right, now we have that clip ready from Derek Van Orden talking about cuts to SNAP. Let's hear it, please.
I want to clear the air, and I'm going to dispel some things. If you're receiving benefits from the federal government lawfully as an American citizen, your benefits are not going to be reduced by a nickel.
By a nickel.
Okay, I'm going to say it again. If you're an American citizen that is lawfully receiving benefits from the federal government, your benefits will not be reduced by a nickel. Write that down.
Okay? Write it down.
I was raised in abject rural poverty by a single mother. were on welfare, food stamps, where you had a stamp, stick it on a card, go to the grocery store. I had subsidized lunches and government cheese. I was the hungry child that my colleagues are talking about, okay? Things have changed. And the same people that told you during the last budgetary cycle that Republicans are going to cut Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, WIC, SNAP, they lied to you.
Really?
They lied openly to the American public.
What did they
They're
do?
the same people that lied to you
Okay.
and are fear-mongering with hungry children and those most in need in our country. And it's unacceptable and it's despicable.
Please don't yell.
This should be a nonpartisan committee. They're lying.
He yelled.
I'm over it.
Okay.
Stop it.
Ooh.
I always love how when he gets revved up, his final words are always something very like, knock it off. Just yap it. That is Derek Van Orden sitting in front of a group of people on video lying to you, lying through his teeth, lying about SNAP, WIC, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They're all being cut. And because of those cuts that he voted for 3 times, SNAP benefits are being cut. And because of that, this program's being cut. And you grew up in rural, abject poverty.
You should know better.
Why are you not the first person on the front line fighting for them to have these benefits?
And while we can't afford nutritional programs, you know what we can't afford?
What, Jane?
You know what's in that big budget for billionaires?
What's that?
$45 million for that statue of heroes.
Oh, boy, can't wait.
They managed to keep that in the budget because that's really important.
Do you know what we had money for, Jane?
What?
$45 million as well for a parade.
A parade.
A big birthday parade.
And we also had another $10 million so the president of our country could go golfing over the weekend in Scotland.
And cheat.
And, well, yeah, there's video of that, too. That's a whole nother, we don't even have time to go down that road.
I'm never going to let up on this because, look, he's a Republican. That doesn't mean he's... I don't disagree with him because he's a Republican. I disagree with him because he's doing terrible things and lying about it. He is not helping the people he says he's going to help. He sits on the Ag Committee. The Farm Bill is 2 years behind.
Yes.
He does nothing to help anybody. And when you ask him a question, he gets angry. And there is video proof on many occasions of him not being able to handle being questioned because he doesn't like his authority question. Well, guess what, folks? He voted 3 times to cut funding for all of these programs, which he said... specifically SNAP, would not go down, quote, a nickel.
Troy in Mount Horeb just texted in, listening on WLAK. Van Orden is right. They aren't being reduced by a nickel, but by lots and lots and lots of nickels. And Casper in Madison also texting in, also tax cuts for billionaires. Yep, we got money for that.
Oh, yeah.
And $45 million for a Garden of Heroes. But hungry kids, yeah, well... Go in the fields. There's things to pick, kids.
Yes.
Come on, where's your motivation? When we return, he's still dead and he's still being a pain in the neck. That's all on the way. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning and welcome back to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. After the 9:30 news, we're going to be joined by Civic Media's news director, Shali Pittman, just for an update on what happened over the weekend. Of course, Governor Evers announcing last week he will not be seeking a third term. And we do know at least one person, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, has already announced that she's in the race. We are highly expecting Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley to announce in the next couple of weeks. But we will talk about others who might also be joining the field and on the Republican side as well, because we have a couple candidates now who have already announced. Jean from Eau Claire is on the line. Good morning, Jean. Thanks for joining us. What's up?
Hi. Thank you for getting the information out to the people on our side. That guy, Van Orden, is a bully.
He is.
Yes.
And he is not being paid to bully his constituents. He's there to work for them, and I am sick of that guy. And God darn it, everybody in our area needs to get and vote that son of a gun out, because he is a bully. He thinks he orders things, and you have to listen. I'm sick of that kind of representation. And guys, get ready to vote for the candidate that you want to fill his position. And that's all I got to say.
Gene, hang on for a second. Gene, hang on for just 1 second, because I'm curious, because you live in that area. You live in Western Wisconsin. Are other folks as tired of DVO as you are, or are they just unaware of the stuff that he pulls?
I think a lot of them are unaware of the stuff that he pulls, because he goes on TV. He sends his own, clips to the television for the news, all the stuff that he's doing. And whenever stuff comes out about him, they always have a response, and it's just sickening. So keep up the honesty and integrity, because people can't put up with this kind of stuff anymore. We're going to where in a handbasket. So thanks, guys. Thank you very much for the work you do. Keep working.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
so much, Gene. Really appreciate it. You can always join us as well at 855-752-4842. If you would like to call in, text in. You can also text in directly via the Civic Media app, which is absolutely free. And if you don't have it yet, you should download it. We don't have a lot of time to spend on this, but it's just because he won't go away.
Yeah.
As much as Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and the President of the United States Donald Trump and all these other Republicans would really just like Jeffrey Epstein to stay dead and go away, he's not going away.
No.
When Donald Trump landed in Scotland over the weekend, this was among the first questions he was asked. Mike Johnson, of course, the Speaker of the House, adjourning the House a day early in order to avoid a vote on bringing a vote up that would require the release of the Epstein files.
Even though to CBS Mornings, he did say to the interviewer that he believes in transparency, that we need to know about we need to know about what's going on, and that justice must be sought for those who are surviving this terrible, terrible thing.
Mike Johnson said that.
Mike Johnson, that we played a clip. And then he said he knows nothing about it.
I know nothing.
I've never seen the report. He's only the third most powerful guy in the United States.
Not his lane.
No.
Not his lane. There was something that happened over the weekend that really jumped out at me that I think is worth highlighting. We have a clip from Jake Tapper interviewing Mark Wayne Mullen over the weekend, and the Epstein report came up. Calvin, play that clip, please.
But remember, there was a plea deal that was struck in 2009,
yes,
way before I was in office, way before Trump was even considering to be in office, way before Pam Bondi was in office, way before Kash Patel was director. 2009, there was a sweetheart plea deal that was made underneath the Obama administration with Epstein, and that sweetheart has not been exposed.
No, it was 2000.
Not? Well, when was the case heard?
It was 2008.
Yep.
It was the U.S. attorney at the time was a guy named Alex Acosta.
Yep.
He was a Bush appointee.
Yep.
He went on to become President Trump's Secretary of Labor. It all took place in 2008.
Who was in office at the time?
2008, George W. Bush.
Who was in office at the time?
George W. Bush.
No, 2009 is when the case came out, and it was and Obama was in office at the time.
It's not true.
No.
But let me ask you a question.
That's enough. Yeah. Sorry, Mark Wayne, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And Alex Acosta, I don't understand why we're not subpoenaing Alex Acosta, who, again, is the one who gave Jeffrey Epstein that remarkably lenient deal in 2008. Incredibly lenient
2008, when he
deal.
was the U.S. attorney under George W.
George W. Bush, yes. Yeah. And then Alex Acosta went on to join the Trump administration. Epstein was arrested under the Trump administration. Bill Barr, the attorney general under Donald Trump, is the one who searched all of Epstein's properties.
Yeah.
Why aren't we subpoenaing him?
Well, are we subpoenaing? That's a really hard word to say. By the way,
That might not even be a word.
Yeah. Why have we not subpoenaed?
Thank you.
Anyone? I don't feel like we are doing that for anyone right now. I feel like they're closing down shop. They're leaving. They're not coming back until September, folks.
They really want us to forget about this.
And I beg the MAGA listeners who are listening to us right now, cursing our names and calling me names, I know you do, don't let up on this. I know this was a concern of yours. And I said last week, liberals, Democrats, independents, we agree. We got your back on this one. Don't let up the fight. We're here to fight with you on this matter. We can come together on this, that at least we should know whose names are on that list. regardless of party.
And then this morning, this happened 23 minutes ago. This is on Twitter. Donald Trump in Scotland. Trump on Epstein, quote, "I never went to the island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never had the privilege of going to the island," unquote. What a privilege. What a privilege.
No thanks.
We have news coming up next. When we return, Civic Media's news director, Shali Pittman, will be joining us. Stay close. You are listening to Matt Nair on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Sweet Calby on the board. Coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. An hour from now, after the 10:30 news, our segment called Audio Sorbet, where we try and lighten things up, get away a little bit from the news. Just to take a breathing break, little cleansing for your brain. Audio Sorbet coming up next hour, and we're going to have a Audio Sorbet follow-up.
Oh, wow.
From Friday. Our guest is Shali Pittman. She's Civic Media's news director, and you were with us last week, Shali, when we had our all-host meeting in Madison. And after our meeting was done, I couldn't find my car in that parking lot for 40 minutes.
Exactly.
I'm not surprised.
Perfect.
It took me a month to figure that out.
Thank you.
I told you weren't. Charlie,
Great.
we will get to the important news of the day, but let's talk about something even more important. The fact that Jane, for a moment, thought that she was the only person on earth who had ever done this. And
No.
I feel like you think that no one's been to the airport before.
It's challenging because there are multiple entrances and exits,
Yes.
and they don't line up.
Yes.
You lose what level of the parking garage you're on. I completely understand. And I will say that the parking garage is actually a great hangout right outside the Civic Media offices.
Right.
I like to sit out there and do work. So
Well, next time I'm trapped in there, I'll just keep shouting to that area, and hopefully someone will hear me.
Shali!
Yeah, I'm using my key fob, and the sound is bouncing all over the walls. Anyway, so we had a follow-up email that came in after we did Audio Sorbet last Friday. This is involving a snowstorm and a vehicle. So we'll do a little update with that. It's good.
Audio Sorbet, the addendums
The
edition.
addendum edition. Right now, though, we're going to put, our attention back on actually important things happening in the world. That's why Shali is here. Big news, of course, last week, Shali, was Governor Evers announcing he is not seeking a third term. We do know that Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez had a really strong video, I thought, coming out of the gate. And Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley has also hinted that he will be formally announcing in the next couple of weeks. Where are we with some other potential Democrats entering this race?
yeah, you're absolutely right. There's been a lot of turnaround in the last, 5 days? So Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, a day after Governor Tony Evers announced he won't be running for a third term, did come out with this kind of punchy video where she gave her life story in about 3 minutes. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley also said he would be taking steps toward entering the race for governor. He said in a press release, the stakes are simply too high to sit on the sidelines. But there are many other people considering a run. If you remember when Governor Evers first ran for office, there were 10 people on the ballot for Democratic?
I had forgotten that there were that many, but yeah, there was a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Including where I am, former Madison Mayor Paul Soglin. So
Right.
that was interesting. But I haven't called Paul, so maybe I should. There are, though, many other folks probably considering a run who we have some development on that I hope to share with you. So in the category of folks who haven't declared but are widely assumed to be running is State Senator Kelda Roys. I called her up last week. I want to say it was Thursday. Can't quite remember.
Time is a
Sometime late
construct.
last week.
Yeah.
It is wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. So
Nice.
here is Kelda
Nice.
Roys. And so if it's okay, if you have the clips, I asked her what she thought of the governor's announcement and where she was. So we can go ahead and play that.
Calvin, you got that clip? Here we go.
My overwhelming feeling is just gratitude for Governor Evers for not just his 2 terms of service as our governor, but his lifelong service to the state as an educator. And I think at a time when so much of our political culture is about cruelty and then the chaos and corruption that we see out of Washington, it's just been very reassuring to have such a steady, calm, kind person leading our state.
I mean,
all right. And then I asked her the $1 million question, right? Are you considering a run? And here's what she told me. There have been kind of dribs and drabs of her appearing in the media. So, but here's what she told me.
Well, I've been, very flattered and appreciate all the folks who are reaching out to me and urging me to run for governor. It's certainly something that I'm seriously considering. But what I can say for sure is that I am going to continue spending the next year and a half traveling around the state, talking with voters, and doing everything in my power to make sure that we have a Democratic governor and a Democratic legislature in 2026.
Non-answer.
Wait.
Non-answer, right. But her on record saying it, so I had the tape and wanted you to use it. Also possibly considering a run, State Senator Chris Larson in the kind of lawmakers camp, which we also saw in 2018 when folks were running, some state senators stepped up. The list, though, of possible contenders is long. We have Mandela Barnes, former lieutenant governor. We have Sarah Godlewski, Ben Wickler, although he's writing a book, Tom Nelson. So we have a bunch of names, but this is all really to say we just have to hurry up and wait for the next year plus. Another contender, though, is Attorney General Josh Kaul. He also hasn't announced, but I did see him at the state capitol on Friday during a press conference on something wholly unrelated, or maybe not. But here's what he told a scrum of reporters who descended on him outside the assembly parlor.
No comments or no announcements today, but what I can say is, first of all, the governor just made this announcement yesterday, and I do think it's important that we take a bit of time to reflect on the significance of the last 6.5 years in Wisconsin. When Governor Evers took office, our state was moving in a very different direction with attacks on workers' rights, attacks on teachers, and that has fundamentally shifted over the past 6.5 years. And I've been proud to work with Governor Evers on a number of different issues, and you can see the progress we've made on things like fighting the opioid epidemic, where we've now helped secure over $800 million that's going to go to fight that epidemic. We've worked to restore access to safe and legal abortion in the state of Wisconsin. We have fair maps in Wisconsin, and there are so many other important changes. We're also dealing with a federal administration right now that is trying to dismantle opportunity and personal security for people across the country. So I look forward to continuing to work with Governor Evers in the year and a half ahead as we work to stand up for the best interests of the people of Wisconsin.
Did the governor give you a heads up?
If you're just joining us, we are talking to Civic Media's news director, Shali Pittman, about all the breaking news from the past few days, especially over the weekend. We always miss the big news over the weekend. And that was a current Wisconsin Attorney General, Josh Kaul, making no comment, but then making a lot of comments. One, I think it's funny. He's like, it just happened. I'm like, well, Sarah Rodriguez didn't wait. Why can't you all not wait? But yes, that was a very answer, non-answer.
Well, and with all due respect to Attorney General Kaul, yes, he just announced it. We need some time to reflect on his wonderful. Oh, give me a break. There's things going on behind the scenes with all of these folks. It's not like we need to take a week and just reflect on all the wonderfulness of Governor Evers. Come on.
But for you, Shali, like this, now it's just the beginning, I imagine, of that. If there were, what, you said 10 people in the last time, I imagine how many are going to be?
I think on the ballot. There were even more who later dropped out before the primary. I want to take a second, though, to dissect that response from the Attorney General. For someone who hasn't announced a run, he did mention several items that are part of Tony Evers' record for sure, but that the Attorney General also had a hand in, right?
True.
The opioid
Absolutely.
lawsuits,
right?
Recouping money from opioid manufacturers and distributors, abortion. We've certainly seen in the last couple of months, right, press conferences and rulings from the state Supreme Court. So, perhaps those were strategic things to mention. But that's the news of where we are. Meanwhile, on the other side, right,
Republican
on the Republican side. Right. We have at least two folks who are definitely in the race, you guys know, Bill Berrien and Josh Schoeman. However, we got some news yesterday that after some cryptic tweets that involved a 45 to 47 on the side of a hat, apparent allusion to the Trump presidency or the number of governors in the state, or the number 47 appears on the side of a lot of hats. Anyway, Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin, announced that he won't run again in 2026, at least. He said he wanted to focus on the YAF and that he didn't rule out a run ever completely in the future, but at least not for 2026.
Well, Scott Walker is a relatively young man. I mean, is he late 40s, early 50s?
I think he's early 50s now.
Yeah, so he's got time, certainly. He just misses people talking about him. I think he really, really misses being in the public eye.
He's 57.
Oh, he's 57. But isn't he making like $800,000 a year as the head of the young Republicans group that he leads? He's making pretty good bank in that job.
He's making private sector money, which is what a lot of politicians do in this situation. But it is interesting to see that he has made that clear to everyone that he's not going to be running. And if I'm not mistaken, even though they were brought up into the mix, neither Eric Hovde nor Tim Michels have said yes or no to a run for the governor as well.
Are you hearing any rumors about that, Shelley? As far as Hovde or Michels jumping back in here?
Just like in the Democratic primary, who knows what is going on and what conversations are going on behind closed doors. We also have Congressman Tom Tiffany potentially feeling out a run.
He came out with something on Twitter this morning talking about how Wisconsin's energy costs are too high. So I'm feeling like he's trying to craft his message. Should he decide to jump in? Was he the one who
also posted a fish photo?
That was Tom Tiffany. Yes. One other website said, from now on, everyone who wants to run for governor of Wisconsin
must hold a fish.
Must show themselves holding a fish, which Tom Tiffany responded with a picture of him ice fishing, holding a fish, and then I immediately thought, well, isn't that infringement on branding for Eric Hovde, who loves to sit in lakes? This is all lake adjacent for these people. Tony on the live stream makes two very important comments. He says, I doubt Tom will run, but I very much, and it'd be a very uphill battle, but I like Tom Nelson believes in unions, workers' rights, love it. He is a gentleman who's always been in the mix here and there, but has never really made that push. And something even more important, he said, and it's true. I noticed Greg hasn't, well, hold on here. This is more of a joke here. Well, now it won't just load. There we go. I noticed Greg hasn't said no to his run for governor. That's right.
Are you just holding out until the very, very last minute?
I'm deciding whether or not I want to be a Republican or a Democrat. It depends on where the money comes from. But this, I mean, it's going to be very. We're starting, folks. We've started.
I just like the idea of a candidate coming out and saying, "Who's going to pay me more?"
Yeah.
That's the way I'll vote.
I appreciate.
Let's just be honest. Yeah. Let's full disclosure. Just buy me. I'll wear your patch. We're going to continue our conversation with Civic Media's news director, Shelley Pittman. Stay close. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air. You're listening to the vast, statewide, countrywide. If you have the app, you can pick us up around the world. The Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvi-Tini on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine, where you can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. She is Civic Media's news director. Shelley Pittman is here to break down all the news we might have missed over the weekend, and there's always lots of stuff going on. And this, Shelley, I think is really important. This new task force for missing and murdered African American women, the statistics are really pretty shocking.
Staggering. Wisconsin has the most disparity across the country, according to a study for Black women aged 25 to 44 years old. According to a study in The Lancet, were 20 times more likely to be killed than white women. And those are some of the statistics that were raised at a press conference last Friday. Happy to answer questions if you want me to dive right into it. But Dane County Representative Sheila Stubbs has introduced similar legislation before to create a missing and murdered African American women task force. It hasn't gotten traction. It hasn't passed outside the legislature for a variety of reasons. She described the battle to get this passed last session when it came the closest. It didn't come out of committee and she had to get it reassigned, and then it was never taken up for a vote in, I believe, the Senate. This task force would analyze the issue, take a look at why Black women and girls in Wisconsin have these disparities, both being killed and
disappearing,
and missing.
Yeah.
Disappearing, exactly. And at the press conference at the Capitol on Friday, there were posters of women who had been missing or killed, including, as we'll get to, the mother of Sade Robinson was also there and spoke. But this task force doesn't necessarily need the legislature, and I think that's a little bit of a nuance that's interesting. The Attorney General, Josh Kaul, whom we were just talking about, doesn't need the permission of the legislature to create his own task force. But he was asked about why go through this process, and he had two responses. One being, look, we want the state legislature to be part and parcel of finding solutions to this crisis, and we want to be funded. We need money for one person in the State Department of Justice to coordinate this task force, to track down testimony, to get 17 members in a room, and to help prepare a report. So that's where we are. But as I said, there was very powerful personal testimony from a number of affected family members. I want to highlight Sheena Scarborough. She's the mother of Sade Robinson, who was killed last year and dismembered.
Yes. And
she spoke, this case received high national attention, was very high profile. The person convicted of killing her is facing a sentencing this Friday. But maybe we focus too much on the trial and not the systemic solutions out of that. And so let's hear from Sheena Scarborough, the mother of Sade Robinson, after maybe some of that media coverage has ebbed.
There weren't many other supports during this time. I didn't really have anyone to guide me through how to even understand what I'm going through. I've never even been arrested before. Like, we've never dealt with the law system. We've never dealt with law enforcement. It's been so severe all across, and it takes every layer of both ends of the table. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter if you are Black, Republican, Democrat, religion. It doesn't matter. These are our babies. This was my daughter. She was a granddaughter. She was a sister. She had her whole life ahead of her. My angel worked 2 jobs. She had her own apartment. She is just graduating from Milwaukee Area Technical College. She had just received her Associate of Arts degree. My youngest daughter had to walk in her honor. So many things have been taken from us. She was taken away weeks before her 20th birthday. We had so many plans and so many things to do. I've worked so hard to raise 2 beautiful, intelligent daughters, and we have done nothing but put out good into the universe, helping others, being advocates, and then for somebody to come and tragically take your child in the worst way is the worst nightmare anyone can imagine.
That's the mother of Sade Robinson, who, again, was murdered and dismembered last year in Milwaukee. And I would have to think, too, Shelly, one of the reasons why this case got so much attention is because of the horrific nature of this case.
Yeah. And Sheena Scarborough described the amount of support she got from the community and from her family, but maybe a lack of infrastructural support. And that was a theme that other speakers hit on, including Tanisha Howard, the mother of Janiah Walker. Yeah, they're all, despite these horrible tragedies, showing up to advocate for a task force to prevent these things in the future.
Well, and
so you can find more at our story online at civicmedia.us.
Yep, go to civicmedia.us, click on news. Our news department is doing a great job. We got bodies on the ground all over the state. If you would like to join our news team, you can also look for jobs. Civicmedia.us. Shelly Pittman is our news director. Thank you so much, Shelly, for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
News coming up next. Stay with us. You are listening to Matt Nair on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.